In today's episode, how an inn cost my company $65,000. Just do it, I don't care how. Steal my dog's favorite ball? I'll give you hundreds. So let's get started. How an inn cost my company $65,000. I have been waiting about 2 months for this fallout in all its glory. I knew my boss would try to make me the fall guy, but I think I employed CYA well in this instance. A little backstory. I work as an office engineer at a mid-sized prefabricated concrete structures plant. About 3 months ago, our plant manager left spontaneously for a much higher-paying gig down south. Due to this, his responsibilities were distributed to whoever had capacity. I was put in charge of purchasing with the caveat that any purchase order, PO, over $5,000 had to be reviewed by that project's project manager. This was due to a mistake, due in part to my inexperience and in part my overconfidence, I made on an order which only cost us a couple grand, but delayed a project. Also due to lower labor costs, and the size our own steel shop, we have most of our large steel structures fabricated just across the border in Canada. Okay, on to the story. Our general manager is acting PM on a project which includes a large steel frame surrounded by concrete modules. I was told to Jeff this frame quoted by our Canadian metal fabricator. I get the quote back and throw together the PO. When I look back through the project specifications before sending the PO for review, I see our project has a Buy American clause, not Buy America, as we had assumed. Almost all of our projects are Buy America, and we are very familiar with it. This little N makes all the difference. Under Buy America, a Canadian fabricator can use American steel and meet every requirement. However, under Buy American, all steel must be domestic, and all fabrication must be done in the US. My GM was out of town on what was essentially a vacation to a project site we have in Hawaii, and was having none of my calls and emails marked as urgent. I informed him in a couple emails and multiple voicemails that we had to go to a different fabricator or the product would be rejected. I got an angry email back telling me to place the order immediately. I tried one more call in desperation, straight to voicemail, and then sent him over the completed PO with the Buy American spec attached, telling him this is well over my $5,000 limit, and I needed to get him to approve it before I sent it out. He approved it in less than 10 minutes. I sent it, and waited for the fallout. Well, it finally happened. Our product was delivered yesterday, and today the project owner sent over an inspector to make sure everything was done per project drawings. He noticed the manufacturer right away and told us he would have to reject the product, purely because it does not meet Buy American. In less than 20 minutes I was getting an earful from my GM asking me why this wasn't caught before we wasted over 60 grand on something that would clearly be rejected. I let him finish his rant, insulting my intelligence, threatening firing me, breaking protocol, the works. I asked him to pull up my emails from the order date, and showed him that he was informed of the issue, and my concerns were ignored. He didn't take this well and told me to get the hell out of his office. Oops. Now there is nothing left but to wait. Our project will be delayed at least a month, and the owner of our company is getting involved. I have the emails saved on a jump drive at home, and the phone logs, while not recording the conversations, show that I left multiple voicemails on the same date, cannot be touched by the GM. Still a bit nervous, but I think I covered myself pretty well. TR. My boss didn't want to take 5 minutes to talk to me about a problem I found and directed me to order $65,000 in fabricated steel that did not meet project requirements and had to be rejected. Added in 2021. So I actually ended up leaving this company mainly due to poor management. I never really got in trouble for this, but my GM was always AD*CK to me afterwards. Just do it, I don't care how. Over a decade ago, my life changed forever. I met my now wife, and being with her made me look at my life a lot differently. I worked in a career that I no longer liked, for a company I no longer believed in. As soon as I could, I found another job and quit. It was refreshing to be free of a job that was holding me back. Unfortunately, this freedom was short-lived. My new job was for a guy whose employees called Meathead. He was a general contractor who did everything from home repairs, highway line painting, firewood and snow removal. At first, I was eager to do whatever I could. I was young, the pay was great and I enjoy working outdoors. Eventually, I proved to be too eager, and Meathead soon realized how I wouldn't say no to anything. This was also around the time I got engaged, so I obviously needed extra money to pay for my wedding. 60-hour weeks were soon the norm. I'd paint parking lots all night, sleep a couple hours, and be out roofing by 7 a.m. But I was young and full of get up and go. I was about to get married, nothing could stop me. With that setup, here's where the malicious compliance comes into play. Meathead was one of those contractors who would buy foreclosed properties, flip them and resell. Meathead also would go to construction supply stores looking for good deals. End-of-the-roll carpets, the twisted lumber at the bottom of a load, stuff like that. It wasn't an ideal situation for us builders, but Meathead only did this on his personal projects, so whatever. As I said, he paid well and everything was done to code. For one particular project, Meathead wanted an interlock patio outside the kitchen. About 16 feet by 30 feet, with a path leading to the driveway. Obviously, with me being the eager beaver, I was tasked with the job. Now, for those who don't know, interlock is an enormous pain in the ass, requiring a decent amount of setup and planning. One of the key things is knowing what the interlock pattern is. There are simple designs that all use the same brick, pretty straightforward, right? Boy, was I in for a surprise. The stones are delivered, and just my luck, Meathead had gotten a deal on a bunch of leftover pavers. There were 4 different sizes and the quantities were all over the place. Me, wanting to do a good job, spent 2 exhausting days counting and sorting out the stones. I piled them into bundles of stones, evenly distributing all the sizes. As I laid them, I planned to use one pile, then use the next, never running out of one particular size, making the patio look uniform. Notice how I said planned? I arrive on day 3, just in time to see Meathead finish pushing all the stones into one big pile with the backhoe, to make room for a load of topsoil that he got another deal on. When I tried to explain how he had disturbed my careful planning, he actually laughed at me, saying, "You're putting too much effort into this, just do it, I don't care how." So I, with the gears of pettiness starting to turn, simply said, "Yes sir, right away sir." On to the maliciousness. Now, the stones I was using were 2x4, 4x4, 4x6 and 6x8. Thankfully, the dimensions were all consistent, so a pattern was eventually easy to create, once I found out how many stones were in each group. But now, with my plans so inconveniently changed, I had to adapt. I had calculated around 300 groups of each stone, and I had to pick out the pavers for each group when I needed them. So my calculations weren't completely wasted. What I actually did change was the pattern. I simply randomized the pattern, with one slight change. Every group had a specific arrangement of stones. It blended in very well with the pattern, to the point that even I could have overlooked it. But in the end, there were over 300 stones C**CK and B*LLS forever enshrined onto that patio. I never told anybody about this, and as far as I know, it was never noticed. I really wish there was some sort of fallout, but I'll never know. Eventually, I found employment elsewhere, as Meathead isn't one of those employers that you tire of, even if the pay is good. Lesson learned, life goes on. And the absolute icing on the cake? Remember how I said that Meathead got deals for his personal projects? 14 years later, he still lives at the D**CK house. Steal my dog's favorite ball? I'll give you hundreds. Okay, so this is my first post on here, so sorry for any mistakes. This happened about 6 years ago, when I was 12, and my brother was 10. We lived next to an older lady, let's call her Jane, who we never really interacted with. We used to play with tennis balls and cricket balls in our backyard, and occasionally, they would go over the fence. When they did, however, Jane would keep the balls and not give them back. She would always say, "Any ball that comes into my yard is mine, and I'm keeping it." One time we were playing with my dog and her favorite ball went over the fence. I sucked it up and went to talk to Meanie Jane, as we called her, only because it was my dog's favorite ball, but obviously she didn't give it back. He was so sad and kept looking for the ball everywhere, and wouldn't play with any other ball. That was the final straw. I found a shop online where you can bulk buy sports equipment, usually for schools, and with my dad's help bought 200 tennis balls. Once they arrived, my plan could begin. Step 1. Ask her for my dog's ball again. No surprise, she was mean and wouldn't give it. "Any ball that comes into my yard is mine and I'm keeping it." Fine then, time for step 2. Step 2. Every day, go into the yard and throw a tennis ball over the fence. Each day, increase the amount. Day 1, 1 ball. Day 2, 2 balls. Day 3, 3, etc. And each day before doing this, ask for my dog's ball back, each day getting a no. By the time we got to day 19, we only had 10 balls left, and that's when step 3 came into play. Step 3. She had an old rubbish bin she kept all our balls in, and at this point it was overflowing. So that week's bin night, we watched her haul out 2 large black bin bags. Once it got dark, me and my dad went put, and lo and behold, it was every single ball of ours that had gone over the fence in the past few years. In total around 300 balls, including the 200 balls. Even my dog's ball was in there. To say my dog was really excited is an understatement. She wouldn't put the thing down and even started sleeping with it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.